I was on a call the other day and we were discussing strategy formulation with a bunch of strategy coaches. And one of the people on the call, her name is Yvette, she brought up this idea of the one thing that's important for the business, for the corporation, right? What is the one metric that you're all tracking? What is the one metric that really makes a difference for the business, right? That everybody, every employee in the business should contribute to. So the thing that she's talking about, thing that she's referring to, is also called the North Star metric. There's a book I was recently reading called Growth Levers and How to Find Them. This is by Matt Lerner. Very good book. It's pretty short, but very well written, and he talks about it in good detail in the book about the North Star metric. And essentially, what it is it's the one thing that delivers value, that drives value to the customer, that creates value in your business, right? So the one metric that demonstrates that you're actually delivering value to the customers. So here's a few examples of the North Star metric, right? Amazon's North Star metric is repeat purchases. So a single purchase does not necessarily mean that the product is actually delivering value, but repeat purchase means that okay, the product's working, they are buying again, right? So because of that, I think since 1997, Amazon's North Star metric has been repeat purchases. Similarly, Meta's uh, North Star metric is daily active users. Spotify, time spent listening. HubSpot, weekly active teams. They used to have weekly active members, then just they changed it to weekly active teams because they figured that's the thing that they're actually creating. The value comes from interaction between teams. So that's what they changed it to. Airbnb, it's nights booked, and Uber, it's rides per week, number of rides per week. So anyway, that's the North Star. So I figured if you think about it, every business has a North Star metric. You need to think about it really deeply to figure out what your North Star metric is, and have everybody in your company think about this. So Matt recommends that everybody uh, should deeply think about how they are contributing to the North Star metric, how their job actually contributes to the North Star metric, to so that everybody in the company is aligned to one metric. And this has to be an additive metric. It cannot be like a percentage or anything. It cannot be like 8 out of 10 metric. It has to be additive. As you keep doing the work, it has to keep going up and up and up, like the nights booked of Airbnb, or repeat purchases. I guess they count every time, every second purchase as a repeat purchase. I think so. They keep adding. I guess probably. I don't know how it actually works for Amazon, but anyway, so that's what it has to be, an additive thing. And so here's a good example of how every person can align to this North Star metric, right? So imagine that you're running a consumer finance app. I'm reading this from Matt Lerner's book here. Imagine that you're running a consumer finance app, and your North Star metric is weekly active users, right? And let's imagine you hire a compliance person, and his job is to make sure every user that signs up is compliant with some requirement. They have to fill out certain forms and stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to meet the government's regulations, and it's not good. So you need to kick the people out. So the compliance guy wants to ensure 100% compliance, right? He doesn't want any non-compliant users um, on the on the app. So he's making sure he's putting in place all these requirements for people to fill out, and if they don't meet the compliance, he's going to boot them out. Versus if you ask him to think about the North Star metric, which is the weekly active users, he's going to think about it differently. the way he could pose the question to himself is, how do I maximize, because that's the North Star metric, right? The weekly active users. How do I maximize weekly active users while still maintaining 100% compliance, because that's his job, right? So in service of that, he may think to himself, how can I create a simple, user-friendly compliance process so that I can improve the conversion of new signups to active users, right? So after they sign up, they have to fill out these things to become compliant, and then they'll be given a chance to participate. So they'll be an active user. So how do I create a simple, user-friendly compliance process so that I convert more of the signups to active users? So you see how the thing is flipped now. So by doing this, you haven't spent even a penny, but you're just having people think about their job differently. And this, by doing this particular thing, it could add a huge competitive advantage to this business, uh, because compliance is a very cumbersome process in these financial apps, and many people don't stick with these apps because compliance is such a pain, and they don't even stick. So this thing could just, by doing that, create a lot of competitive advantage just by thinking about your job differently. So that's what North Star metric is. So every business should have one. You should think about what that is and have everybody in your company think about that. And it would be same thing for individuals, for every job that you're doing, every function you're doing. So you could think about, for videos, for your social media stuff, I guess North Star metric could be the number of shares, your lifetime number of shares of your content. It could be videos or blog posts or LinkedIn posts or whatnot, right? If somebody is sharing them with other people, that really means that they are getting value, right? So that could be a North Star metric. So that's a interesting thing to think about. Uh, that could be a key part of your strategy, right? What is the one thing up there, the North Star, that is actually creating value with the things that you're doing, that you need to focus on improving and increasing day after day. So, all right, North Star metric.